Ham Radio 2.0 Lunchtime Livestream. Good afternoon, everyone. I show 12 o'clock. Thanks for joining us today on a bright, hot, and sunny Wednesday from Texas. Making sure my audio's good there. I see We Build, We Learn in the chat. Thanks for joining us today. Andy's in the chat. Philip's in the chat. Appreciate everyone being here. Kyle AA0Z sent me a message earlier today, said he wasn't going to make it, so he gave me a list of questions to ask, which is always fun. So he didn't have to be here for the questions. All right. Hey, guys, really appreciate y'all joining us today. And should be a really fun show. We're going to get to talk with Michael Walker from FlexRadio. He's been on the show several times. He was on the YouTubers Hamfest of last year. And, in fact, he was on twice. He was on my channel talking about just overall FlexRadio, and he was on Kyle's channel to talk about remote operation with FlexRadio. So very knowledgeable in the spectrum of FlexRadio, obviously, because he's an employee, but also very knowledgeable in the spectrum of remote operation, which FlexRadio, man, in my opinion, they own the game for remote HF operation right now. You can do remote with ICOM and Yaesu and Elecraft. Elecraft is pretty good at it, but I don't think anyone really kind of comes to the level that FlexRadio is. And I might be a little bit biased, but that's okay. It's my channel, so I can say what I want to. So a couple of quick announcements, and then we're going to get into it real fast. Let me go here and switch to this screen. There. Okay, so shop.hamradio2.com has new t-shirts, as I announced. I was privileged to be on the Ham Radio Clubhouse live stream last night, and really enjoy hanging out with those guys, a good group of guys. Just go search YouTube for Ham Radio Clubhouse. They live stream every Tuesday night. So we got some new Ham Radio t-shirts, including one for Frank, which I announced last week. It's a Tank Radio shirt. Those should be, the templates should be in sometime middle of next week. I've already got some orders, and as soon as the templates are here, we'll get the actual on-demand shirts in size and color ordered for you. They're calling this color here military green. I asked her if it was olive drab, and she's like, well, they call it military green. I'm like, okay. It'll be a tad different than that, but not much. It'll still look pretty cool. So, plus we've got the I Survived, the Ham Radio Invasion of Huntsville 2021 with 3 different styles. So these are on pre-order also. These templates should be in about the same time next week as Frank's templates. And then they will be ordered on demand just like all the other t-shirts on the website. Size, color, material, cotton, dry wick, whatnot. So several things on shop.hamradio2.com right there. Looking forward to getting some more stuff up there. So several of you have been following me where I've been talking about doing this POTA event. We were talking about doing it yesterday. We were going to do it two or 3 weeks ago on a Friday, and it rained. We got rained out basically, and we talked about doing it this yesterday, and then maybe this coming Saturday. So I drove up to Ray Roberts State Park. It's about 45 minutes north of here, maybe an hour north of here, depending on which way you go. I drove up there yesterday. I took this picture. This is use by reservation only, which, whatever, that's fine. This is what they call Pavilion Number 1, and these pavilions will hold up to 50 people, although that'd be really packed with 50 people in it. And then they've got these extra picnic tables around, and they've got some other areas around, like this is to the right of the pavilions over on the left side of that picture, so you could easily set up an antenna right there. So I called them this morning, and I reserved a pavilion. Now, it's not this one. It's another one that's that's in the same general area. I called them this morning, and I reserved a pavilion for us for July. Not this weekend. It's not going to be this weekend. Let me check the date real quick. Let me go back here. July 16th, I think it is. Here, it happens. The pavilion was actually July 19th. No, July 17th. Okay, it's one of the teens. Okay, July 17th. The pavilion was actually available on the day of the Support Your POTA Parks event that we spoke to Vance about on the live stream last Sunday. So it's going to be a weekend-long event. I only rented it for Saturday. I rented it all day on Saturday from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Central Time. So you do have to rent it. You have to pay for it, and that's fine. So I've rented it for that Saturday. We're going to go out there early Saturday morning and set up, and we're going to operate. I mean, we can stay out there all day. It really kind of depends on how hot it gets and kind of weather contingent. I don't expect any rain in July in Texas at that time. We'll see. But July 17th, everyone locally, or if you want to drive down, if you don't mind driving a couple hours, everyone's invited. Everyone's invited. It does cost a $7 day pass admission to get into the park if you don't have the annual pass from Texas State Parks and Recreation, which I have. I have an annual pass. So it'll cost you $7 to get into the park. But like I said, everyone's invited. And behind this place right here where I'm showing you these pictures is a bunch of parking. There's a bunch of parking for boats and trailers and vehicles and whatnot. The pavilion we'll be at is actually kind of on the other side of this water right here, over there in this area right here, where if you can see my mouse right now. It's a pavilion that looks just like this one. This one's pavilion number 1, and pavilion number 2 is just kind of right on the other side of this over there. So that was the one they had open. They didn't have pavilion 1 open on the 17th, but they did but they have pavilion 2 open. So this is that's a menu where I was eating last night. So this is what it looks like. We're going to be right there on the water. This is Lake Ray Roberts. It should be a fun event, and hopefully you can make it. Stay tuned for more of that. Check the Discord. I shared a Discord message. Frank can share a link to our Discord server. I shared a message in our Poda and Soda channel in the Discord earlier today, right after I booked that. So details will be shared there. I'll share them on live streams also, but details will absolutely be shared in the Discord server. This coming Friday, Kyle's got trivia night again at 7 p.m. Central Time that night on Friday. And then I've got my ham radio happy hour the following hour at 8 p.m. So invitations to all YouTubers for the ham radio happy hour have already gone out. If you didn't get yours and you have a YouTube channel and I know you, or even maybe if I don't know you, hit me up in Discord or send me an email, and we'll get you on the event. So that took a couple minutes longer than what I was anticipating, but that's okay because I wanted to make sure I got all that stuff in there because I've been wanting to get that announcement for the parks thing. I've been working on that for like a month, and due to scheduling, reservations, and weather, I've just now finally started to get it going. So, okay, let me switch that. I'm going to switch this, and I'm going to go. Frank, I wasn't expecting to see you in there right now, bud.
See me? Oh, I was yelling at you. I was like, 17th, 17th.
Oh, yeah. I didn't have my headset on. Sorry. So it's all good.
I'll be in the background watching for questions. So shoot your questions and I'll bring them up on the air as they seat into the topics. If they don't, I'm going to create a bank and we're just going to go rapid through those at the end of the interview.
That sounds good. Thanks for being here today, man. Appreciate it.
Sounds good.
Frank's going to be leaving me to go back to work in July, so you won't see him on lunchtime live streams anymore. But it's all good. It's all good. We'll get you on the Sunday stuff. So, all right, Michael. Good afternoon. I think it's afternoon there for you. I don't know. Maybe it's morning.
It's only an hour. We're an hour earlier. Yeah. Okay. So we get the DX an hour earlier than you do.
There you go. Awesome. Good. Well, good afternoon. Thank you for being here today. I appreciate you taking the time out. And how are things in Canada today?
Hey, we're doing good. I'm up to my second vaccine, and so are most of us, actually. So our programs are going really good, and starting to hear they might crack the border open between you and I. So so that if I can go into the U.S., it's coming back that's painful. Right. Because right now you have to stay in the government hotel, which is a hotel they bought for 3 days at your expense, waiting to make sure you're clear. So
at your expense.
At your expense. Yeah, well, I'm sure that, grand scheme of things, it's all, it's the right idea because we had a bunch of viruses come in from all over the world. And so, but we're getting there. True. And we all getting there, and things seem to be coming back as normal. So as long as we're a little smart about it, we should be just fine.
Good. So so you were telling me that you might be available for Huntsville.
We might be available for Huntsville. We are going to be there.
FlexRadio will be there, but you specifically might
be there.
Yeah. Good.
I even got the right hand the first time, right? Because it's backwards.
It's backwards in the camera, right? Yeah. All right. So a lot of updates recently to FlexRadio for various reasons. I think I was telling you before the stream started, I've updated my SmartSDR for Windows probably 3 times in the last month, and prior to that, I don't think I've done an update for like 3 to 6 months. So it's been a lot of, and everything's working. Everything. In fact, I've even got a screen right here that if I can get the right window, there we go. You probably won't be able to see that, but on YouTube it should be showing. I've got my SmartSDR for Windows up and running. It's on 17 meters right now, and we've got WSGX JTX going as well.
Right. Yeah.
So
I don't know if you had it on 6 meters yesterday, at least for the eastern part of the Mississippi. It was phenomenal.
I didn't yesterday, but I did some last week, and I was getting some 6 meter FT8 contacts, 6 and 10 meters both in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So just kind of at random, but yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. Don't forget FT4. I mean, you can, if it's really open, you can pound away at FT4. You could probably do 100 grids in 20 minutes.
That's true.
And the other thing, I have a good friend of mine, by the way, who just moved. He's been a month in a house. He knows who he is if he's watching. And he put up an off-center fed Wyndham. We took the drone out and got it over a couple of trees and talked to his neighbors and used the method I talked about in the QSO Today Expo. It worked perfectly. And he hasn't gotten around to any specialized antenna yet. It was just like, get something on the air. He's worked 4 countries off his off-center fed Wyndham.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, how high up is he?
35, 40 feet, not very high.
Okay. Well, I mean, feet above sea. Where his home QTH is how many feet above sea level?
Well, he's a couple hours. He's an hour north of Toronto.
So he's probably.
See, I should know. It's like 800 feet above sea level. So it's working out really well for him. But I think my point of my story is, if you've got a radio that gets 6, find something that tunes and try it. You will be surprised.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So good deal. All right, so SmartLink hit a bug. I don't know if maybe a bug's not the right word. There was some kind of SmartLink update that was required, but it was difficult to accomplish, and like with all technology, even companies that release radios too soon and have to recall them. I'm not going to say any names, but it's not FlexRadio is who I'm talking about. So SmartLink hit a bit of a snafu, a month or month and a half ago, something like that. And I know you've talked about this on your own FlexRadio YouTube channel, which if you guys don't subscribe to FlexRadio YouTube channel, now would be a good time, because that's usually where the latest information is posted there first. And I try to get these guys to come on my show as much as they want to. But obviously they're going to put out information on their own channel first. So go subscribe there. Frank, if you can go find just go to YouTube and search for Flex Radio. You should be able to find it. But Michael, tell us about what happened. What you guys have learned from it. I don't think it was a fault of Flex Radio. I think it was a fault of Windows, if I'm not mistaken. Like some kind of .NET something.
A little bit of everything. And Frank, it's Flex Radio Systems in YouTube. Look for the graphic of the waterfall or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so a bunch of updates come out. We'd done a lot of work in just cleaning up a lot of communication under the covers. It didn't bring any new feature functionality. So those are the previous, and we were issues. And I know and then we came along to a change in .NET on everything. So like any company, especially with thousands of customers, you're cautious about doing changes. If everything's if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Right.
But there's that line, right? Where is that line today? Is it, do I want to be bleeding edge, or do I want to still be running Windows XP? Well, somewhere in the middle is the answer. We were aware of the changes that were happening, and we sort of got caught with one little thing that ultimately broke SmartLink in its encryption method. And I'm going to be very high level. The ability to sign on. It looked like it signed on, and then the tunnel would never happen. You got the OK message that popped up. So we identified that almost immediately, and we were pretty good. In fact, we got a lot of positive feedback about saying, look, we've got it, we're working on it. But there's no sense giving you details, because it just changes by the hour. And then I'll be blunt, and then you've got, everybody's an expert, especially as hockey fans, everybody's a referee. Right. I would have made that call differently. Playoffs are going on.
Yeah.
So, but we would just say, hey, we are, and we truly were working on it. We had people pulled off projects. We had people come in off vacation, people working 18-hour days for quite a while. So we got SmartSDR fixed for Windows really fairly quickly, so that it did not impact Secure Worldwide CW. So that was fine.
Oh, okay.
Now, SmartLink is our tool that allows you to connect to your radio from outside your home, and it negates having to build your own tunneling and VPN. And while for some of us it's no big deal, for 90% of our customers it's really foreign. As I've probably said over and over, and probably annoyed a few people, if you want, you can build your own VPN. It's a good skill to know. Go out and learn it, just like knowing antennas or whatever. And as Dan N7HQ in his podcast says, the LAN in today's ham shack is as important as our antenna system. It really is. Case in point, your stuff. We're using PSK Reporter, DX Maps, clusters. Hey, just looking up people's call signs on QRZ while we're having a QSO to give us something to talk about. So the VPN is the workaround. It has to be a bit of a specialized VPN. And if you've got the skills to go do that, great. We're cool with it. That's just an option. And the core part about the FlexRadio too is the communication with the radio is wide open. It's not encrypted. Like it is encrypted, but in your home network. So if you want to build your own program, we have APIs, we have wikis to help you go out and do your own thing, and we actually embrace it. We really want people to do that. If you wanted to write your own Windows client to replace SmartSDR, you could. Not a big secret. So anyway, so SmartSDR broke. That is the tunneling system we use, and how SmartSDR works is. Or how SmartLink works is we're remote. I want to connect to my radio. I go, okay, let's connect to my radio. The program calls a server, not yours, and says, hey, where's Jason's radio? Jason knows this well, right? So, hey, Jason's radio is at this funny IP address in half a world away, and here's the two magic numbers you need. They're called ports. Cool.
Costa Rica.
So then the radio, the Maestro, your SmartSDR, does a direct connection. There's no intermediate server, so the performance is good, and right to the radio. Well, that part broke, and then there's a handshake of encryption and security. So, and that broke. But we got SmartSDR for Windows working fairly quickly and out the door, and we tried not to break a lot of our process and procedures in QA, but we cut them a little tight. And fortunately, we were lucky. Even with 50 alpha testers, it's still amazing that we don't. We sometimes miss something, and then we fix it. And having worked for a lot of software companies in my career, and Fortune 500 companies, this is norm. Hate to say it, it's normal. The measure of a company is how they respond to it, and I think we did really well with that. Now the Maestro. This is what took hours. So there's. The tablets in the two Maestros, the A model and the B model, and the M model radio are Windows embedded tablets. They run Windows embedded. And before, your dandruff goes all up and, like this is not uncommon. It's done in the financial industry. It's done in the healthcare industry. It's done in the aeronautics industry, where these tablets become the user interface part because all the code's there. It's all done. It's easy to code. And so you carry on. So the M models updated. We finally got them fixed, but the hard part for all three tablet types was ensuring that the scripting to make it automatic worked. And it didn't cause any weird corners. And there was a lot of weird stuff that happened. And so you'd run a test, especially on the Maestro Bs, and it would take 3 hours to run this test, and then it would fail. And then you have to rebuild the system back to where you were. Now we use VMs as well, but then you get to the point where, okay, the VM seems to work. What happens when you try it on the real device? And so, and if it failed, you had to reimage it. And that's all hard to do. It's really slow stuff. So it was a lot of QA, like I said, a lot of key engineers that eventually got it to the point where the Maestro A, the older model, updated pretty quickly. And the M models updated pretty quickly, 20 minutes, 10 minutes. And then came the B model. And what's a B model? It's got its power button on the left side. And that's probably what you had, Jason?
Yes, that's the one. That is the one I have. It's on the left side.
Yeah. So about 3 hours. And so it has to call out to the Microsoft Update server, go get its stuff, install it. And this was like, you've seen an old laptop do this where it reboots 4 or 5 times.
Yes.
Get that all up and running. And they call them KBs. And then get the next set. And then it was, of course, 3 times. So that took a long time. Mine was almost 3 hours to the minute. And I have a YouTube video showing it all the way through. Of course, it's not 3 hours long; it's 4 minutes. But, you know,
Right? Yeah, squash. That would have been a good. That would have been a good idea for a video. I wish I would have thought about that because Kyle was telling me he's like, yeah, it's gonna take an hour or two, so plug it in. I'm like, okay, and I didn't watch it. I just plugged it in and hit go, and I went and did something else. So, but yeah,
And you
it
had
took a while.
and you had to come back and connect to the radio and keep it going twice, right?
Yes,
So,
correct. Yeah. Correct. Yeah, I would say, oh, it's done. I connect to radio, and then it would start this update again. I'm like, oh gosh.
And
Okay.
I can't remember if that was part of the deal that Dan was working on, because we really wanted it to auto connect to the radio so you could start it at midnight, go to bed, and wake up, and it would be done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we really
Yeah.
tried to get to the point, but I think there was a point of diminishing returns, and it's just, you know, okay, just this works, leave it.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, and you know, it wasn't automatic, at least not for me, but it worked. I mean, I didn't have to like restart it. It didn't freeze up in the middle of it or something like that. As soon as I clicked connect to radio, it started its update process and it finished that part of it, and then it started again and started again. And once all that was done, it was fine. So I never
we
had
had
to
a-
like hard power down it and restart it because of a break in download or anything like that.
So you'll read, it's sort of human nature. If something doesn't work, we scream about it, and if it's fine, we don't say anything. We've had,
You just described Facebook.
yes, no kidding.
That's my description of Facebook. You know, it's always people that are complaining about all products.
Correct.
But you never hear from the people who are happy with the product because they don't have anything to say. They're just using the product. So, yeah, to a T. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that you nailed it. I think, yeah, as I said, I can't, when I truly retire from work, I've got a few people I want to send an email.
Nice.
They probably even know who they are.
Mhm.
But the whole point being is, I think our percentage of failure rate was pretty small. We expected we would have a quantity that would need to be sent home or whatever, and we'd have to re-image them from scratch. But
Mhm.
so we're taking care of those. But so if you're reading about like anything on anywhere going, oh, your radio seems to have a lot of updates, I don't want to buy it. And so, well, that's, you know, heck, if you read the car forums, if you bought a car and went to their equivalent, you would never buy their car.
Yeah. Boy, that's for sure. Wow.
I know. Anyway.
Sheesh. Okay. So, let's see. A couple of talking points in there when you were speaking. I should have been writing them down. So, one thing and this is a question I get a lot on my channel when I do a FlexRadio video, is that SmartLink is not required if you have the radio and the computer running the software on the same local area network. If it's all
Correct.
behind the same router on the same subnet and whatnot,
Yes.
SmartLink is not required. So everything there worked fine. I never noticed any other than
Right. You never have to log into your radio if
Right.
you're just sitting on the same subnet. We have a
Right.
whole video describing subnets too, but
yeah.
just keep it same subnet.
Mhm.
The things that, and I'll interrupt you, that break that all the time is people put in range extenders or meshes. So the
Okay.
magic word you want here is bridge mode.
Okay.
Look for
Yeah,
bridge
so
mode.
it
Turn
looks
it
like
on.
this. So it looks like the same network,
Yes.
and not on a different subnet or a different set of IPs or something. That makes sense. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Good. So SmartLink is the system used to connect to I physically have a radio in Costa Rica. It's sitting there right now on a we just changed an antenna. I think we have a multiband vertical on it now. We're going back down there in October. We just booked our flight this week. And we're going to be doing some updates to it and whatnot. But the radio itself is sitting there now. I can't update it. This is one of the questions that Kyle had, and it's actually a question I've had for a while. You can't update firmware, if I'm using the term firmware correctly. You can't update firmware on the radio to 3.2.39, which I think is the latest right now, over SmartLink. And you have to be local to the radio to do that, because I've got my 6400 right here updated to 3.39. But the 6400 in Costa Rica is 3.4, I think, something like
3.1.
that. 3.1 maybe? Okay.
3.12 probably. 12. Forgot. It's hard for me to remember because there's these minors that you guys never see. So.
Oh yeah. So I know it went from I think it went from 3. I don't remember what it was before 3.4, maybe 3.1, but it went from 3.4 to 3.7 to 3.9 pretty quickly. And we had a guy down there who put up that vertical antenna for us, who updated it to whatever it was at the time. I think it might be on 3.4 actually. But that was like a month.
Well, it would
and a
be
half ago.
3.1 because we're only at 3.2, so it's the next number.
Well,
But
I'm
anyway,
talking
I
about
gave-
the I'm talking about the third number, 3.2 dot something.
Yeah, okay.
So 3.2.39 is what my home radio is on right now. And my home, and it's also the version. It coincides with the version number on the SmartSDR for Windows. It's installed on the
Yeah.
desktop here that we're looking at.
Well, we do have a
So-
solution for you.
Okay.
So if you're
put a laptop.
put a laptop.
Yeah.
And I say this to if you're doing a remote station and you're
Mhm.
truly more than 20 minutes away from it, where it's a pain
Yeah.
in the butt to go visit, invest in, you can almost probably get away with a Chromebook. Well, you can't, but invest in a laptop or a desktop, even better,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
leave it there running all the time. And then you can connect to it with TeamViewer or AnyDesk
Right.
or any things. In fact, I just did a diagram on Facebook about how I used very simple setup for CQ Worldwide. Happened to be sideband because somebody was asking about using a Mac and what about N1M. But the story is, if you leave a PC there that you can get to remotely, then you could
Yes.
do those updates. And then
Mhm.
the only other thing I suggest you add is, and it's a just in case, because I did it with mine. You know, when you set up SmartLink, we have to hit the CW key or the push to talk button
Right.
to register. Have
Mhm.
some way to do that remotely, so it uses a physical connector on the radio.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of switches and stuff to make this happen.
Mhm.
But the advantage of this now is you're now virtually sitting behind your firewall in Costa
Mhm.
Rica.
Mhm.
So now if I have a firewall or a network problem, I can easily get in and look around from that PC, assuming, everything's got a single point of failure, but assuming you
Right.
can connect to it. But now I could just run the update from the PC there. And
Mhm.
okay,
Mhm.
now it's at,
Mhm.
3.2.39.
Mhm.
And then you can now proceed forward. So I always recommend that. And we have a number of customers that are that far away that it's, now I discussed this, in QSO Today Expo, which we all did a lot with. There's my video in there is exactly about the basics of the building blocks of a reliable remote setup.
Okay.
And then you take Kyle, who's taken it to a whole other stratosphere.
With the no red.
Yeah, well, me too, but he doesn't sleep, right? So
Right. Right. Yeah, for sure. So, okay. Yeah. Well, and we kind of surmised that ourselves. That's exactly what when we go back down in October, we're going to take a laptop. I don't know if I'm going to supply it or
Something.
one of the others. So we're going to take something and we're going to put one of the guys. One of the guys is like some high up guru in HP, and he knows all about VPNs. And he's like, "Yeah, we're just going to put a VPN on it." I'm like, "Okay, cool. So let's just do it that way."
and you do that too.
But-
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah,
that we can get back into it and make updates via the Windows client or
Yeah.
via the website if we need to. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Before all that, we really had very little issue connecting to the radio and using it. We connect to it and we use it via FT8 all the time. We've used it via sideband. There is a little bit of latency because internet in Costa Rica is not as great as it is here. So there's a little bit of it is connected via Ethernet to the router at the location where we have it. However, the internet to that location itself comes in via microwave link.
Mhm.
So they're on top. They're kind of on the side of a volcano, and they've got a microwave dish on. Seriously, they're on the side of a
Oh, I
volcano.
know. I've been down there. I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So they've got a little plateau that's with 3 really nice villas on it, and I've got all of this documented on my channel. You guys can go watch my Costa Rica videos on the channel. And then on top of one of the villas, they've got this microwave dish. It's about yay big. It's probably about like an 8 or 10-inch dish, something like that, and it's pointed down to the valley, and that's where they get their internet from. So while the radio itself is hardlined in, the entire internet to the site is wireless. So you don't have the option of running fiber or something like that. If I had
No,
fiber,
but you're fortunate to have that. That's probably pretty
That's
good,
true.
too. It's
Yes.
just pretty reliable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, and it works pretty good. It's just you notice some latency, especially with doing CW, there's some latency with it. You can do sideband. You just have to be aware that it's not going to work like hitting push to talk with the radio right in front of you. So if you can work with it and it works pretty well. But for the most part, we've really enjoyed working FT8 from down there because, I mean, you hear stations down there you just don't hear because they're so much closer to the equator. You just don't.
It's like
hear
a whole
them up here.
different planet, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It is.
I operated from the Caribbean once, and it was what I'm hearing this guy. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's like, especially
Yeah.
living in northern latitudes.
Yes.
It's like, well, 20 is always open. What a
Yeah,
thought.
yeah. And down there, 20, and when the sun goes down, 20 dies. I mean, it's like somebody turns off a switch. And here lately, 20's been kind of active into the nighttime hours. 10 or 11 p.m. It'll kind of start to fizzle. But like down there, when it's like somebody throws a switch and it's just okay, 20's gone, sun went down. So
Yeah,
but
and of course you're going to make sure with your IT guy that if the battery dies on the laptop, it'll boot up and just go back to normal, right? You want to simulate a power failure recovery.
that's a good
So
idea. Yeah.
walk over to the building
Yeah.
and hit the big switch, and then
Yeah.
turn it back on and make
Right.
sure everything comes back the way you want.
Right.
We've yeah, that's just skills I've had from doing. I do stuff with sports and timing and data stuff. So what if in a live television broadcast you lose your power?
Right.
The producer
Right.
doesn't want to hear, sorry, we had a power failure. Type of thing,
No, for sure.
as you know. So, well, that's
Oh,
cool.
yes.
I'll have a safe trip. That'll be a blast.
I think so. Yeah, I think it'll be fun. So, all right. I know we've got some questions. I had a question from Kyle that he sent me earlier because he said he wasn't able to watch today. So let me pull that up real quick, and then I know Frank, you've had some questions come in.
Well,
as
you
well.
pull that up. I'll go ahead and
Go ahead.
Don asks, will Maestro be available for the 7600?
7600?
67.
6700.
Yeah.
6700. Yeah. So we have a bit of a delay in our Maestros. They're due to a variety of build issues and supply issues, and it will come out. It will work with all 6000 series radios. It doesn't matter which.
Yeah, I was all of the even the discontinued 63 and 6500 the Maestro will work with.
That's a great buy too. If you can find a used one, you can be current with it. Can't say that about my ICOM 756 Pro.
Very true. Very true.
A different Don, this is the Plano Don, asks, how does the 6700 does 2 meter 440 duplexing like the 6600, or will?
So I'll correct him on that. So the 6600 only goes to 6 meters. The 6700 has 2 meters available on it at 5 milliwatts out. So you can use that as part of the basis of a machine. You can't really think of the full duplex in the way of sort of VHF and UHF radios, but the radios are in two categories. They either have one spectral capture unit, that's the part you hook the antenna up to, or two, where you can hook up two antennas and use them both at the same time. So we have this feature we call full duplex. It allows you to actually be transmitting on one antenna, one spectral capture unit, and listening simultaneously on a different antenna on a different band. So that's built in. And why is this so powerful? Well, how many people have gotten their radio and within the first transmission, you call some guy you hear in the air because he's really loud and you go, how does my signal sound? And he'll pretend to tell you, well, it needs more highs, needs more lows, the mid's missing, you got too much compression. And then he'll tell you how you should set it up the way he wants you to.
Right.
Well, Flex radios have full duplex, which is the ability to actually hear myself on my own radio. Again, we have another video on that, and nobody else does that, which is really great. So anytime I hook up a new mic, even this one, I can go spin myself up and go, hello, hello. And there'll be some latency, especially when I do it remotely. But I can hear, oh, the highs are good, or the bottom's a little muffled. So that's what full duplex gets you.
Okay, yeah. So Don N5SKT, who is a Flex Radio user that lives just right here near Frank and I, he says he means with transverters, and I don't understand what his question. Oh, you got it. Okay.
So I have two transverters here. So I use a 6600. In your case, if you have a 6700, doesn't really matter. Let's talk about the 6600. I have a transverter on my 6600 on VHF. It's on one spectral capture unit. You don't have to worry about that, but it's called transverter A. And then another transverter hooked up on transverter B on the back of the radio. And I actually use that for satellite work. So I can actually be full duplex on the satellite. Works really well. So I'm transmitting up on VHF and listening in UHF if it's RS-44 or something like that.
Gotcha. Cool. Good. Okay.
We need more videos on that stuff, so I'm a little late on that.
Yeah. That would be fun. Okay. All right. So the one of the questions Kyle sent me earlier today, asked them if they have any plans to create some type of point-to-point authentication with the remote local software, if they have authentication issues in the future, we can go directly IP to IP. So something that you kind of touched on already, Michael, and I didn't know this. You said that the authentication is done at the SmartLink server, which I assume is on y'all's network somewhere. And then once that's done, it does go IP to IP from you to the radio if you're working remotely.
Yeah.
So can you kind of expand on that and what might be some other ideas you might have thought of about how to do that?
And by the way, I see Don's question pop up about one transverter part. Don, we should just give me a call. We'll take it offline because I'm not the best on a 6700. So I'd have to look at the plumbing. So Kyle's saying, so what if SmartLink goes down? What's plan B type of thing? Yeah. So I don't think we're going to spend any more time on that, but you could, in theory, just open the ports on your firewall. But SmartSDR doesn't do direct IP addressing, meaning saying, if I know my WAN address, can I just go connect? Not in SmartSDR. You can in SmartSDR for Mac. Marcus has decided that is a feature. We chose not to. I'll be blunt. It's an economics thing because if we do open it up, then we also are sort of stuck at supporting the entire user base and say, hey, I'm trying to get remote IP addressing working. I know nothing about it. Can you do it for me? And that would just end up overwhelming the support group. So there's some of this is truly based on economics. And so if we wanted to do cool things like that, then we would have to then, double staff. And of course you got to pay for them. That would increase the cost of the radio. So it's a bit of a trade-off. Could that change tomorrow? Absolutely. Right now we haven't discussed it. So plan B, and Kyle knows this, is that build your own soft ether VPN. They're very easy. You can put a Pi at each end or a Pi at one end. Well written up. We have a lot of Flex of our customers that are running VPNs to as their backup system. So Kyle, you could spin that up in about 20 minutes. You'd be done. So
the thing that I have always wanted to see with SmartSDR, with SmartLink, the thing I've always wanted to see with SmartLink is like a group type of let me think of how to say this. Yeah, a group login that can be shared around, but which we have that for our we created a brand new email address and shared the password with everybody down there, and that's what we used for the radio in Costa Rica. However, I would like to see the ability to be able to add that group login to my existing SmartLink account so that when I log into SmartLink, I can see my radio. And let's say I have a radio here at the shack. And if I'm on my local area network and logged into the Costa Rica SmartLink account, I can see both radios because I see one locally and I see one remotely. But if I take my Maestro with me on vacation, then I have to choose which SmartLink account to log into, home or Costa Rica. I can't see them both at the same time. So I would like the ability to take SmartLink and marry two of the accounts together, or be able to log into more than one SmartLink account at a time, either through SmartSDR for Windows or the Maestro itself.
It's sort of backwards. Yeah, there's that whole request. What do we do about multiple users or clubs or band restrictions or SWL mode only? Yeah, there's a whole laundry list that we're well aware of. But you may not be aware of that you can have multiple radios on a single SmartLink account. The thing is, if you put your personal radio on your group SmartLink account, everybody else is going to see it as well.
Right.
Wait, and it may not be a big deal. You can just tell them not to use it, right? I mean, they're all friends. You all trust them.
Sure.
So, or hey, if you want, here's my radio. Give it a shot if I'm not using it, because they can see if it's in use. So we have accounts we use for shows and stuff, and there's like 12 radios on it. So if you're at Huntsville, and we've probably logged into a bunch of different radios all over the place. And so how do you control it if you want to dump everybody off? One of you logs in and changes the password. And that would have to be, I think that would have to be the one that's actually got, and here's your controlling factor. Can they actually hit the remote foot switch or CW key? And then you restrict that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's not perfect. And don't get me, we know, I was going to say, we think we know what everybody wants, but yeah, we get requests like yourself in clubs and all these, Linux type permissions, right? And admit, there's no question. It's on the list.
That leads into Kyle's second part of that question is to add guest accounts to a Flex.
Yeah. That's kind of where I got that, because that's an idea I brought up in the past. I think I talked with I don't remember if I talked with Lori about it or I don't remember who it was. It might have been. I don't think it was Steve. No,
or Eric.
But I actually spoke with Steve. Oh, I think it was Steve a few months ago when we were having trouble connecting to our 6400 in Costa Rica, which it ended up being.
Oh, it might have been Dan.
It was Dan. That's who it was. It was Dan. Yeah.
We've hidden Steve for a while. He's.
Well, we had an issue with connecting to the radio in Costa Rica, and one of the guys went down there with a laptop and still didn't. He fired up SmartSDR on the local area network and still couldn't see it. Turns out it was a bad. I don't know if it was a bad a bad image or a bad SD
card. You
SD
hit
card. But
so
yeah. But
I could talk about the SD card. We explain it so well, in another video on the website. But rather than waste time here, well known, well understood.
Yeah.
And
well, what I will say is that FlexRadio support was incredibly easy to work with. And they're like, oh, it's probably this. Let us test this. Done. Okay, that's done. That's what you are. And then they shipped us a brand new imaged SD card, and we plugged it in, and it was done. So it took a little bit to get it to Costa Rica, but that's not FlexRadio's fault. That's just where we're located. So,
I wanted to interrupt you, by the way. So back on the restrictions, don't forget the people you're letting access to your radio are licensed hams, and these are generally friends or club members that you would trust. And the weak comparison, I guess, is if you had a club station and you gave those authorized a key to the club station, they're going to go in and do whatever they want anyway.
True.
So it's sort of the same analogy. Would it be nicer to be able to lock them down? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it just depends on how many of your customers would be interested in something like that. So, and maybe how many new customers you can get from having something like that. So, cost analysis benefit.
Yeah. Hey, Don. Yeah, we hear you. That's for November 5 Sierra Kilo Tango.
Want them to know that antennas bands. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true also. Frank, do we have any more questions that we haven't read yet?
Ham World Online says, don't let Michael go without talking about PGXL and Tuner Genesis.
Tuner Genius?
Tuner Genius.
I like my version better.
Sure, we can
we
talk
market
about
that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Commission?
I'll get you a hat.
Okay.
Right.
I think we're out of them. But anyway, so Power Genius is an amazing amplifier. So I'm going to go into advertising mode here, but
go ahead.
Nothing else like it. Generally for bigger ham shacks, it replaces 2 amplifiers, and I'm going to model it out over the single operator 2 radio environment because, and then you can downgrade from there. But you can actually be transmitting full power on 20 while you're receiving on 40. Through a parallel antenna system on the same amp. So the measurement is this thing called dueling CQ, which is what the contesters do. And so I'm CQ contest and I'm dialing around on 20. Now we flip nothing, or I'm CQing on 20 at the same time. And the amp will flip in milliseconds back and forth between 40, 20, 40, 20. And, so it's like, and if you had to do that before, we had to do it on 2 unique amplifiers. Okay. So imagine buying 2 big OEM amplifiers at about the same price. The other cool thing, there's many. The integrations is a couple of LAN cables. I have a whole presentation on, is Johan's Sierra Echo 3 X-ray station for when he went from this. We've all done it, that Vizio chart with all the cables running out. Okay, and so I should pull that up. And then that's now been replaced by a diagram. And he said I didn't have to draw because it was just so easy. It's like a couple of LAN cables.
I think I've seen that video.
Yeah, and then but the Power Genius has a feature called it has MEFA, which makes it more efficient, but it also has this harmonic load, dummy load, and what it does is harmonics. Normally, of course, we don't want to send the harmonics out to the antenna, right? If we're on 10 meter or 20 meters, we don't want that 28 meg signal harmonic making it out. So on every other amplifier, it sits in the radio and produces heat, but in a bad way because it gets reflected because it's a high impedance. It keeps it from going out. It gets reflected, back to the tube if this was a tube, or the chip, and it actually causes IMD, bad IMD. It can corrupt your signal. We don't want that. In the Power Genius, we actually have a high pass filter that pulls it off to the side and sends it to a dummy load. where it does get dispersed in heat. So the Power Genius actually has this dummy load and a couple of temperature sensors in it. You can see when the harmonic dummy load gets hotter and hotter, it's because we're actually sucking out a lot of harmonics. We generally see that in some OEM radios, which seem to be a little less clean, and the amplifier cleans it up, because it just doesn't get out the door. And so you get the idea. What's on Mike's t-shirt? Oh, I'll show that in a minute. So
Yeah.
that's the
I was
Power
gonna bring that
Genius.
up.
So that's the Power Genius. The Tuner Genius is designed to go with the Power Genius. Same idea, full duplex. And there's also 2 Tuner Geniuses, another one that has a 1x3 switch for the single operator. Tunes very fast, second time around, like most tuners, up to 10 to 1 SWR at full legal limit. And a whole bunch of really cool features. And again, in the Flex infrastructure, it communicates via LAN, but it supports, like the Power Genius OEM radios ICOMCAM would use through Elecraft as well. Or your Heathkit even, because it will RF sense the frequency you're on.
So do you need any extra cables for it?
If you want it to auto band switch type of thing. Of course, my phone's ringing. So
yeah, if you want it to auto band switch, it would require a second cable. Other than that,
yeah,
it would just work through the LAN.
Yep.
Okay.
What's the shirt say? Let's see. Does this work?
Yeah.
So it says to the moon and back. We got to have to the moon and back. Find everywhere. That's our sort of a motto we're going on. So it's a Maestro or it's M model. We have a lot of moon guys. We've got about 5 new T-shirts. They're not. I was going to say. Ask me about the T-shirts. And I said, don't ask me about the T-shirts because I went to look if they're in the store yet, but they're not.
Yeah, I think I've got a couple of those coming to me for some giveaways I did recently.
You do. Should be on your way by now.
I know that those were just like everything else right now. Everything's on back order and delay and everything. So
you know what? And they're really. My wife says they're like Tommy Bahama material.
Really?
They're really soft. It's not like your classic T-shirt.
Yeah. Well, good. So, on that note about being back ordered, what are we looking at for ordering time on the 6600 or the Maestro or anything like that, or the PG? I think you guys just got a new shipment of PGXLs in not too long ago, right?
PGXLs, I can ship you one immediately.
Okay.
And if you're interested in one, call and tell JP you can have the Dayton discount, and I'll get in trouble for that. But he'll probably honor it. So we've got those are ready to go. You could probably ship it out almost tomorrow, type of thing for the Power Genius. Tuner Genius is going to be if you don't have one on order or weren't part of an incredible promotion that ran back quite a while ago. It's still going to be Q3, Q4 before those go out for the general public. We had a shortage of some metal on the rest of the radios. I think that all arrived last week, and they are leaving in a hurry.
Okay.
This week. So Kathy and Katie in the shipping department are running around with their, and if you want to bribe them, send them dark chocolate.
Good to know.
They like chocolate. I've had customers do that.
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that at all.
They're 2 wonderful women, and Katie's been around a long time, and Kathy joined us about a year ago or so, maybe more. And neither one of them like doing nothing. So when we get caught up, it's like not uncommon to order something and it to be in the UPS stack within 45 minutes.
Well, that's good. That's really good. What's the status on the Maestro? Are those
That's a while yet.
Okay.
That's there's there's a couple of things slowing us down on that, but yeah.
My understanding, now correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is that the Dell, and now you were talking about, that's another point I was going to bring back up. You were talking about the Dell tablet running an embedded Windows. All of that, the entire factory where that's put together is on this channel. Some of my first FlexRadio videos, I drove down to Austin's about 3 hours from me, and Matt walked us through the factory, and that was all kind of presented as like, this is I think it's an 8-inch Dell tablet. That's just, you bring it in, you kind of turn some things off and put some things on it and put your operating system on it, and that's what a Maestro is, or the M series radio. So that should be, so if you guys want to know more about that, go check out my videos from when I toured the FlexRadio factory in Austin, Texas. But my understanding about the new Maestro is that I think Dell discontinued that tablet you guys were using. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
So that was completely out of your control anyway.
There's a couple. So we're the only company with an 8-inch display. Now,
right.
And hopefully I don't get in trouble for saying this. If we wanted to make it a 7-inch display, there's lots of 7-inch tablets available for this purpose. But we'd have to give up an inch, and of course, guys don't like that. So, but that's not true. That's
moving
true.
on.
Moving on. No, we actually thought we'd bought enough tablets. Like we really bought all the tablets available for, years, and then the Maestro was so incredibly successful. It would just keep exploding out the door, and we would keep missing, or we would just blow through our forecast sell targets on them. So
it's a good problem to have.
It's a good/bad problem to have. So
yeah, but have you designated another tablet? I mean, is Dell making another 8-inch tablet, or have you got that picked out yet?
So the tablet in the M models is not a Dell tablet. It's a different manufacturer. So we would like to use that one because it makes one less SKU that we have to order.
Sure. Okay.
So we have to now make sure we can get 4,000 or 5,000 of those for the next 5 years.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool, good. Frank, anything else from the chat?
If you want to get really specific, Todd was asking, can you ship USPS instead of USP to Hawaii?
Yeah, work with us on that. Sometimes it's an insurance issue, but it's not impossible. So if you're ordering online, and by the way, even if you have a special thing, if you're ordering online about shipping, there's an area to put a comment on. So go ahead, pay the shipping, or if the shipping seems wrong, go ahead and pay it, and then say, hey, can you look into this for us? And then Katie and Kathy actually look at that, and if they need to, they will adjust as required, or if they can. Right. And sometimes some of them there's the odd thing in the store where the shipping just doesn't make sense. Now, like everybody else, we've had to deal with new shipping stuff. But it is based on an automatic calculation, but it never hurts to ask. And we can adjust an invoice down after the original credit card pre-authorization. So say it's, X and it turns out to be $20 cheaper. We can then we can actually adjust the invoice down and pass that through. So it's like going into a hotel room, right? Where you usually pay for 3 rooms up front, and then it's held on your credit card until you finally leave. So it's called a pre-auth.
Gotcha. Cool.
That's about it for all I see in the chat there.
Okay.
Yeah. Should be lucky he's living in Hawaii though.
Yeah.
Yeah. He comes in and says aloha and mahalo to us quite regularly in the chat. So Todd's a good dude. He's a regular in the chat.
I see him. The WH6. So I have one thing to say to Todd is when you leave Hawaii and you come back to Alabama, you can't still use an H call sign.
Yeah.
There's a couple or an L. Okay, when you leave Alaska, P, you need to leave it behind.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's a guy there's a guy I know that we met up with in Virginia who's got a Kilo Hotel call sign, and he's like, "I'm in Virginia." Like, that's cheating.
I probably worked him too.
Yeah.
I say that in good fun, by the way. So it's just bar ribbon. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Well, cool, Michael. Thank you for the time today. This was a great discussion. To kind of put a recap on everything, all of the updates to SmartLink and SmartSDR that were being worked on 18 hours a day, like you said, are all complete. Everything's back to normal now. Just need to make sure that that all your updates are done to the radio and your Maestro and whatever else you might have. But I've been working with mine for here at the house. Like, I had to do some updates here and there, but it was easy to, since it's on local area network, I had to do. So our Costa Rica station's not quite up to date yet, but we're working on that too. So,
I want to say one thing, interrupt you real quick, is
go ahead.
Find the video on our channel from the one I did at IDXC, because I really want to get away from using RS-232 ports. And we've grown up with radio connects to PC and they're one solution,
Mhm.
right? They're not anymore. You can run, the radios, and I cautiously use the word server, but it's like a web server. So you can use
Yeah.
a couple of computers to get the same information. So you can run your WSJT over here, but maybe have SmartSDR over here on two
Mhm.
different PCs. And the radio doesn't care. And that's the way we set it up. So you could start to spread things out a bit.
Right. True.
And it makes it easier. It really does. Just
Mhm.
learn a little bit about a
Mhm.
few things, but we'll help you with that. And if you need to get hold of me or any of us, you can just email me at info@flexradio.com and we'll answer.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks, man. I really do appreciate it. Always great to have you on the show. Always cool to see what's new in Flex Radio land, because it is as I've said before, I've got a lot of radios, but the Flex is probably my favorite one that I have right now. I do need to upgrade my 6400 to a 6600. I am looking to do that. And if it wasn't like a 4-month wait period, I would have done that already. But so it's good to hear that you got the pieces you need in last week. So maybe I'll circle back to that.
I could transfer you to sales right now.
I bet you could. So
you can call and talk to JP directly.
Yeah, I might do that. Maybe I'll do that.
Thanks for having us. And
sure.
we're happy to jump on any time and help clarify the air. Actually, we look forward to it because
yeah.
And I'd like to think we're one of the easiest companies to, there's a couple of us that are really good at getting out in front of the customers, so we try.
Oh, I think you're right. No, totally. I think that's great. So I hope to see you in Huntsville. Hope you can make it down to Huntsville. But if not, we might get you on the show somewhere around that time to talk about stuff and maybe how the show went or something like that. I got a couple of videos upcoming about Huntsville anyway. So
we're doing a lot with the RHR youth program. Those guys will be there. Good.
I've reached out to RHR several times. I can't get those guys to reply to me. I talked to them at the QSO Today Expo, but since then I haven't
they
been able to reach them.
Lee is so busy that.
Yeah.
But hopefully with Huntsville, and they've got a great model going too. So
yeah.
Whether you think paid for ham radio is right or wrong, is at some point in time we're all going to end up in a home, and we're still going to want to end up on air and on e-meters so we can talk about our meds.
That is true. That is very true. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you being on the show today, taking the time out, and stay cool up there. And we will definitely have you back on soon.
Roger. 73, everybody. Thanks for listening.
73. Thanks, Michael. So what do you think, Frank?
Man, I want a Flex Radio.
You need one.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
You need a Flex Radio. Yeah.
How he was talking about just having a computer always on to connect to the radio is a great solution for probably a lot of guys out there.
Yes.
I do like the ideas of futures of adding to new or guest users to the smart accounts. I believe a lot of those, I saw his gears turning, is like, I can't say what's coming down the pipe.
That's a request. That's a request that they've heard before. And every time here's something. Now I don't mean this as a dig, but here's something I've asked Michael and I've asked Matt, and I think I've even asked Lori. I was like, so what's new? What's upcoming? And they're like, yeah, we can't talk about that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Because we haven't decided yet.
Yeah, right.
Hey, can you turn on, Frank, can you turn on screen share for a second? I'll share a couple of things with you.
Oh, here, let me do that. I'll do that.
Or maybe a co-host or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You should have it now.
So let me share this one. This is for Frank's benefit.
Okay.
So Frank, you can see this, right?
Yes, I can.
I don't know where you guys went. So this is actually my remote desktop at my remote station. So here's my amplifier control panel. Here's my antenna switching.
Oh,
and
nice.
Here's the Kyle stuff with all the Node Red, where I can turn things off, turn the beam and everything. And it talks to all the crap in the background. Okay, so let's stop that one. Because, that's not what
You're using any desktop?
Yeah, I'm using AnyDesk because AnyDesk is more efficient at sending data. I like remote desktop because it's usually crisper, but I found that AnyDesk only sends back the changed pixels, whereas remote desktop keeps sending, I think they're bitmap screens multiple times a second, so it's a lot more efficient. So especially if I was running something like CW Skimmer. So that's one, and then
is AnyDesk the front end, and it just connects to regular remote desktop on the back end?
Team Viewer.
TeamViewer.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
like
free version.
TeamViewer.
Okay.
It's a free version of TeamViewer. And then this diagram I just wrote for a Facebook posting. But so here's Costa Rica right here, type of thing. You got the radio, an amplifier, an antenna switch, and a PC. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
So for CQ Worldwide, I tried something different. I took the MacBook Pro and I connected to the radio. So I used the Mac for SmartSDR for Mac software with a headphone and a foot switch on it. So Jason, for your perspective, it replaced a Maestro.
Right.
And the reason I did that is the Mac software's audio is faster through. Windows adds about 250 milliseconds delay. Doesn't matter how fast the computer is. It's just in their buffer handling. Done a lot of testing on it.
Okay.
Then I used another PC, it happened to be a Windows PC with AnyDesk, to connect over to this. And then I ran M1MM here. So we're so simple to distribute duties to different computers. Because the Mac, of course, there's no really good contest logging software for the Mac. Not M1MM level. So let's not try to reinvent it. Let's just make it work.
Yeah.
And so I probably have another screen with a picture that shows it, but that's the idea. And, and how long did this take me to draw? No time at all. Whereas, like we said in the, the rite of passage is to show up at a club meeting with this Visio diagram that took you a whole week to put together.
Right. Yeah, very true. Very true. Huh. Well, that's something to work on for sure.
Well, we got some nice compliments in there. I guess I like to think I'm easy to talk to. I've been on some, you've been on some talk as an interviewer. It's tough, right? You ask a question, you get, yep.
Oh, sure. No, yeah, No, you're one of the easier ones to come on because you actually like to talk about what the subject is. So, totally. But
perfect.
Good.
There you go, Frank.
Cool.
I hope you learned something.
Oh, that was pretty cool. I did. And I like to start, have the ability to put up antennas and start playing with this stuff later this year. Yeah, sir. Later this year.
Well, we've got a video upcoming about that next weekend, Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about there.
Yep.
And then assuming that once I make that call down there to JP and talk to him about a new 6600, I'm going to have a 6400 for sale. So, we might be able to go that route with Frank. So, all right. Thanks to you both.
I'm gonna ask Lori to get you some pricing on that right now.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. I went through you guys have a used section on your website. This was back when I was looking and it said like 6 to 8 weeks for a new radio. So it's a few weeks ago when I was looking at this, and it's they got used radios. And you click on it, it says out of stock. I'm like, that's a teaser, man. Y'all are being a tease with that. So, Tom Smith, Jason, shoot me an email about the 6600M I have. See, I don't want the M model. I have a Maestro. I don't want the M model. So unless someone's going to give me an M model for the same price as a non-M model, I don't care for the M model. But that's just me. The M model is awesome. If anybody wanting to buy a brand new FlexRadio, the M model would be great. But I just don't care about it because I already have a Maestro. And I'm not getting rid of my Maestro. I'm keeping that.
No,
everybody keeps
awesome. Their Maestro.
That thing is awesome. So, all right, guys, we've been going for a little bit over an hour. I do want to shut it down. I do want to say thank you to you both for being on today. Frank, if you want to hang around either one of you, if you want to hang around for a minute after I end the stream, feel free. We will be doing, let's see. Tomorrow night, we have Thursday Night Ham Radio. Frank, do we have a link for that yet?
No,
Okay.
Thursday Night Ham Radio link yet, but someone should get on that and create it.
Yeah, someone should. The person who's taken that over. So we'll have Thursday Night Ham Radio tomorrow night, and then we have Kyle's Trivia and my happy hour Friday night, and on Sunday night, I will be inviting one of the developers from Grid Tracker, and we'll be talking about setting up Grid Tracker with the Flex Radio.
Cool.
So more Flex Radio stuff upcoming on the channel.
I have talk about distributed communication. I have a whole 40-inch TV here on the wall.
Yeah.
And I hook it up to another computer, and then I just let Grid Tracker run on that. And I get the Grid Tracker, the WSJ here from my remote 100 miles away, echoing it over. Okay, so this is the power of the LAN and the ham shack.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, it works. It works very well. So, all right, 73, thank you for being here today, everybody in the chat. Tom, I don't know your email address, buddy, so shoot me an email. I'm good on QRZ, KC5HWB. But 73 to everybody, thanks for being here today. Appreciate Michael's time. Appreciate Frank being in fielding questions. And we will talk at you guys next, probably Friday night, live stream Friday night. So 73, and hope to see you then.